Hey guys, welcome back to Vitamin D TV. Boy, do I have a rant for you guys today. Wow. So, I wanted to make this video because languages plus America just doesn't go together. Like, I'm from the United States, and in the United States, when you speak more than two languages, you're like a goddess to the American people. And that's like, it's good and bad. Like, it's good because here in America, you're like, if you're multilingual in America, you're like, oh my God, you speak that many languages. You're so awesome. You are brilliant. Where did you come from? How did you do it? How did you do it? And that is like so not how things are in Europe. Like in Europe, in Africa, in other places of the world, speaking more than three languages is considered like a must, or it's considered normal or common. And it's not like that in America. And that's pretty much what I want to rant about today. So the first thing that I want to rant about is, and guys, I'm just speaking facts. Like, you can look these things up if you want to, because I know what I'm talking about. But the first thing I'm going to say is America does not have an official language. So for all of you bigots out there, for all of you people who are like, oh, this is America, speak English. Oh, this is America, why are you speaking that language? Oh, this is America, you can only speak English when you're outside. All of you guys who are saying that, shh. I really want to say other things, but I'm gonna just leave it like that. Like, hush your mouth, like, shh, just, like, you're making no sense. Just because you're uncomfortable when you're around somebody speaking another language that you don't know doesn't mean that they can only speak English when they're around you or when they're outside. You can't control what somebody speaks, no matter who you are and no matter who they are. You can't tell them how to speak. You can't tell them how to talk. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. Like, if I only knew Spanish and I was coming to America, or I just got to America to the United States for whatever reason, and you're gonna tell me that I can't speak Spanish, I'm gonna look at you like you have 5 heads. Just might want to do other things like violently, but like I'm gonna look at you like you're freaking crazy. Like, who are you? If you want to understand what people are saying, then put yourself to the test and learn a second language, just like I did. Pretty much. America does not have an official language. You can look this up on Google. You can ask Siri. I keep my Siri off because I know she's always listening, so I'm not gonna ask her for you guys. But not gonna go into that. But yeah, you can look it up anywhere. The United States does not have an official language. 1/3 of the United States is Latino, so you know how dominant Spanish is here. And then we just don't have an official language. Like, we're the melting pot. Like, it would kind of be like I wouldn't want to say disrespectful, but it's like we don't have an official language for a reason. So that's number one. Number two is the United States does not promote multiculturalism or multilingualism. And that is crazy to me because we have like the most immigrants, I guess, out of like a lot of other countries. Like most countries would come here as opposed to another country pre-Trump era. But yeah, a lot of people would come here. So for people to be trying to literally build a freaking wall, for people to be trying to make people only speak English when they're around them, for people to be getting reprimanded in public when they're speaking their native language that's not English, that's just totally, it's sickening, it's nauseating, because this is America, the melting pot. We don't even have an official language. Why would you be trying to make somebody speak English just because you can't speak it? And a lot of people are upset that they don't understand what's going on, because this leads to my next point. America does not really teach language learning. Like, language learning here in America as opposed to other countries is totally different. Like, in other countries, it's like you have to. But here, you may or may not learn a second language in middle school. Like, I was fortunate enough to be introduced to the whole language learning world in kindergarten when I was in middle school. I went to a private school, and so they taught Spanish, and even though I graduated in 8th grade and I couldn't really speak Spanish by the time I graduated 8th grade, I did get the chance to, learn some type of Spanish when I was in school. And when I got to high school, it was the same thing. Like, I took French for 2 years in high school, and by the time I graduated high school and I was in college, I couldn't even remember the French that I learned for the most part. So here in the United States, language learning, it's taught, but it's not really like, I don't know what's the word. It's not really taken that seriously. It's like, if you pass in school, great job, but you're not really, you still don't know what you're doing by the time you graduate. And that's what made me take on language learning by myself when I was in high school, because I was always around Latinos. I grew up in a Latino city. I went to a Latino high school, predominantly Latino. It was Caribbean, like, all together. But I'm around the one language I learned in middle school, and I still didn't know what the hell was going on. Why? Because because the United States has failed so many of us when it comes to language learning in school. Like, you learn about a foreign language in English, which is the first problem. Like, if I'm learning French in high school, I would want my French teacher to speak to me in French and English, or predominantly in French, so that I can get a feel of the hearing, of the listening comprehension part. Like, and that is so not stressed in foreign language classes. Your average American foreign language class would consist of you getting a book. Your teacher might teach you some conjugations. You might practice some conjugations with other people or whatever, and then you go home with a bunch of tasks to do that you may or may not know how to do on your own. Come back the next day, get it graded, memorize this list, memorize this, memorize that, take a test. That's not really how you learn. Because when you were a baby, your mom didn't sit you down and put a pen in your hand and say, okay, vamos a aprender español. Esta es la lista que tú vas a usar para aprender español. No, you had to listen to your mom speak to you in Spanish for at least 9 months. Probably 10, 12 months before you could even start to utter anything out of your mouth in Spanish. And it's the same thing with English, Chinese, Japanese, French, any language you learn, you had to listen to it being spoken to you for a several month period of time before you could speak, before you learn, before you really knew what was going on. And it's the same thing here. You don't have to necessarily wait a few months of studying before you utter your first words. No, you don't have to, but you do need a crap load of listening comprehension before you really know how to communicate in another language. In America, in United States schools, they don't teach that. Like, you might watch a movie in French class if you're lucky, or if you did if you finished your quiz or something like that. But just the way the United States the United States teaches languages is all wrong. And a lot of us Americans think that we can't learn a language because of the way we learned in school. And the way school teaches you is completely wrong. There's this, I don't even know how I came across him, but Stephen Krashen. I'm going to post a link of his video in my description box, and he talks about the way the United States teaches languages and the real and only way we can learn a language. And what he says is just so golden. Mind you, the video I'm gonna show you guys, it's from the 80s or 90s. Like, it's old. It's an old video, and everything he's still talking about is pretty much as relevant then as it is today. It's as if he made the video yesterday. It's only the quality that's the different part. And that's sad, because it shows how much the United States has not changed when it comes to teaching a language. Like, why are we still using lists and talking in English predominantly in a foreign language class. Like, come on, you're not learning anything there. Now, if you go to a school that's predominantly focused on language learning, that's another story. I haven't done that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're better than your average high school trying to teach you Spanish. I'm pretty sure they're better. But as far as, regular high school and middle school goes, the United States teaches it all wrong. And that's why, that is exactly why when we come across somebody who speaks 3, 4, or 5 languages, we're like, oh my God, how? Teach me. How did you do this? That's why, because we learned it all wrong because the government taught us all wrong. And that is a huge problem. So how can we fix that today going forward? Because I don't want to just leave you guys with a rant. How can we change that going forward? I would just say, if you really want to learn a language and it's something you've always wanted to do it on your own. And don't necessarily spend $500 to do so when you don't know any words. Don't spend $500 to learn how to say hi, how are you, my name is, I come from, da-da-da-da-da. You can do that on YouTube. You can do that Google Translate. You can do that on Duolingo. Do everything you can free, and then if you still feel like you need a tutor, go on italki and other apps that are way cheaper as opposed to still spending $500, okay? And pick a language that you want to learn because you're genuinely passionate about it, you're genuinely passionate about the culture, and you really want to grow and progress in that language. Not because, oh, I can make a lot of money, not because, oh, it'll be useful. Like, have a vision for why you want to learn that language, because that's what's going to boost you to keep going. So that's my rant for you guys. I didn't want to make this video too long, so I'm about to cut it short. But that is the United States in a nutshell when it comes to language learning. If you're from another country, or if you feel me, if you know what I'm talking about, comment, let me know what you guys think. Like this video, subscribe for more content. And no sé si quiero hablar sobre esto en español. Yo quería hablar en otros idiomas sobre este tema, pero lo que pasó es que me sentí muy apasionada.